I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're taking a deep dive into the enigmatic world of Friends of the Strobos. It is a novel that transcends the traditional boundaries of horror and science fiction. It is crafted by the multifaceted Semyon White. This tale intertwines the timeless allure of vampires with the intriguing concept of time travel through the living blood of women. Join us right now as we explore this inventive and innovative book where the sacramental and the supernatural converge, inviting readers on a journey to question the very fabric of existence. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his wonderful book. The links are below this interview. Semyon, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Likewise. Glad to be here.
This is such an inventive, imaginative book. It introduces us to the concept of vampires using living blood of women as a conduit for time travel. Tell us a little bit about what made you intertwine these two different types of science fiction or fantasy.
Well, initially, when I started writing the stories, um, I always think that to really, bring new life to a genre that we've all read or seen, in some form, you really have to look for something new, but something that it's already associated with the genre at the same time.
Yeah.
And this concept that that there's living blood through lines of women, through unbroken lines of women that span humanity. I
Mhm.
found that kind of fascinating and something that really isn't talked about generally in science. And I thought that this was something I could use, something real that I could use in the science fiction book.
Well, it was great. It gives it credibility, it gives it believability, it gives it that feel of a classic because, like you said, you've taken old elements and given them a new spin while using true science as well, which is very, very effective. Let's give the folks at home an overview. What is the book Friends of D. Strobos about?
Well, um, I guess in many ways it's a collection of encounters, um, people who have come across D. Strobos either as a victim or as someone who's close to a victim, or in some cases a coworker. If
Mhm.
it's at a period where he has a job, such as like a taxi driver or a black car service driver,
Mhm.
driving around in the city, picking people up late at night, which seemed like a great way to introduce, the vampire character in the book. And
Mm.
that's where we start.
Yeah. And also obviously gives them an introduction to a broad range of people by having that type of work. And that's kind
Yeah.
of interesting as well. Makes you look at your Uber driver twice, so the next time you get into a car.
Right. Right.
That's part of the fun as well. Now, have you envisioned this at all as a TV series or a series of films?
Well, that is something I'm thinking. Because the book has so many different elements, it's really an expansive, universe of its
Mm.
own. I've already started writing screenplay material that continues where some of those stories and some of those characters left off in the book.
Yeah, absolutely. By the fact that you do have so many stories within the book, each one could be an episode or combined could be episodes.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think it definitely has appeal to Hollywood out there. So Hollywood, if you're listening, this would be an excellent series that is ready to go. Tell us a
Okay.
little bit about your writing career. You started writing crime fiction?
Well, that was the first thing that was published.
Okay.
Was a crime novella. I guess in 2010 or 11. And from there, I got interested in, writing screenplays as well.
Mhm.
Uh, the novella actually got the attention of a producer who had me write my first screenplay. Of course, it was my first screenplay, so it really didn't do anything. But I started to enjoy the screenwriting process and the process of going from novel to screenplay and screenplay to novel is
Mm.
that I've been doing for about a decade. So I have a lot of practice, going back and forth and taking, the richness of a novel and bringing those elements into a screenplay.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of your earlier collections is Outlandish Tales and Savage Imaginings. It kind of delves into edgy horror and science fiction as
Yes, yes, it
well.
does. It does.
Does does
That's a
Friends of
collection.
the Strobos build upon that?
I can't say it builds upon that, but that's really the first time where I've experimented with bringing, you know, um, literary concepts and science fiction and horror together.
Hmm, absolutely. What are you working on right now?
Right now, I'm working on a couple of things. I'm trying to finish a film um, that I started in Los Angeles
Mhm.
um, that features Jake Busey from Stranger Things. Um, It's called Get Wrecked, and
Mhm.
we're wrapping up post production on that. And I'm writing another screenplay, um, kind of a darker, grittier Christmas type of story.
I always like dark, gritty Christmas stories. That sounds good
Oh
because
yeah,
it's
this
always
one
such
this
a
one is
cool
dark.
juxtaposition from the
Yes.
sentimental holiday to, the dark things that can happen at Christmas time. And unfortunately, a lot of bad things do happen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Tell us a little bit about Get Wrecked. What's your role on that? Did you write the screenplay? And
I co-wrote the screenplay with another writer who helped direct the film, a gentleman named Robin Mountjoy, who works in Los Angeles right now. I'm also the executive producer on it as well.
great. Now, in De Strobos, you draw parallels between vampire stories and cultural practices such as Catholicism and the Eucharist. It's kind of a bold move. Tell us a little bit how you use
Well,
these elements.
I always found that in Catholicism um, that the concepts that intrigue us about vampire fiction are really in there. The concept of being offered eternal life, for a drink of blood, is something that is kind of ingrained, and I think it just entertains a lot of us and interests a lot of us who had that kind of upbringing.
Yeah. And also, again, it adds that credibility to it. If it's part
Yeah,
of,
yeah,
one of
yeah,
the
because it
largest religions in
something.
the world,
Yes.
yeah, it makes it feel real. Who are your influences? Who are you inspired by, whether it's literary or cinematically?
Well, I spent a lot of time reading the science fiction of Philip K. Dick,
Mhm.
um, who's a very big science fiction writer. I really enjoyed him. Um, Cinematically, I like Peter Greenaway, which is, you know, he's not so popular now, but his early canon of films really introduced me to a lot of, I guess, different ways to do cinema,
Hmm.
that weren't really explored a lot. So I still watch the canon of the Peter Greenaway films just as an education.
Yeah. Are you thinking about a sequel of Friends of These Strobos?
Yes, I actually have planned out a couple of different episodes for D. Strobos to continue. And some of
Wonderful.
them are already, partially written because they're part of the screenplay collection that I'm working on as well, to pitch it as a series. So I've
Wonderful.
already continued those stories.
Wonderful. Semyon White has delivered a wonderful story that you'll just love. It's frightening at times, it's horrifying at times, it feels very real throughout. It is called Friends of D. Strobos. It's a novel that transcends the traditional boundaries of horror and sci-fi. And this tale intertwines the timeless allure of vampires with the intriguing concept of time travel through the living blood of women. It's quite a tale. It definitely is ripe for the picking for any Hollywood producer out there to turn it into a streaming series for Amazon or Netflix or Hulu or any of the like. Semyon, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It was great.
Pleasure is all mine. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.